All right, everyone. Welcome back to Microsoft Dev Radio, where we bring you really awesome people talking about really amazing things via Teams. Today, we have brought back Richard Timmering because he talked about Windows Virtual Desktop and lit everyone's world on fire. And I don't know about you, but I really want to learn more about this. So, Richard, thank you so much for coming back. Um, I'm not even going to try to set anything up. Richard, what else can you tell us? Because this was one of the most interesting topics we heard in a while.
Well, thanks for that very generous introduction, Sydney. And what I thought about what we could talk about today is last time we kind of covered about the why Windows Virtual Desktop. We gave some examples and some scenarios and stories about virtualizing 3D applications so that I can run that 3D model on a device that doesn't have an expensive GPU using the power of Windows Virtual Desktop. Game development companies can now run multiple iterations of their game engine across virtual GPU types using what Azure has for hardware instead of having to invest in their own hardware. So those are the ones that get people excited, being able to give connectivity in a controlled, predictable workstation to all of my remote users. Another thing that leadership of companies really love about WVD. But as an IT pro or as somebody who's an IT admin that has to live with it day in, day out, I thought for this session, we talk about what's next. You go through the Azure wizard, you do a next install, and WVD is lit up, and you're like, huh, that was easy. But then you always have to think about what's next, what's day in the life of a WVD admin looks like. So there's kind of two big things that have recently been just published as blogs that kind of are timely and help with this, that I shared those links in the chat. One is around image management. So now that you've deployed your farm, that's great. How do I patch it? How do I update it? How do I optimize it for VDI? Because there are some idiosyncrasies we want to be aware of there so that we're getting the best density, best bang for the buck. And that's where the first link is to a blog article that shows one example using Azure Devops to set up a Cdci pipeline. It's going to give all of our traditional VDI admins the ability to work with the developers, learn what that means. But essentially, it's taking our same processes that we might have managed through System Center Config Manager or Intune for patch management, and now we're just rolling that into image management. That same strategy, while works really well for VDI, so that as I patch and roll out new security updates, roll out new applications, roll out new security requirements on an image that my corporate security team might be requiring, I can also share that with my server team. So they can now start using that same muscle of image management that we've learned through WVD and apply it to that infrastructure as code buzzword we're seeing for my traditional domain controllers and all those other wonderful server OSs that run in Azure. Same skill set. Now I'm being able to bring together my desktop team and my server team, and everyone's happy. And so that's image management. That's the blog we have there. Don't forget about that part of what's the life cycle look like in the day in the life of a VDI admin. And then the other one is more recent, and that's monitoring. In the past, we partnered with Sapago, and you would be entitled to a free version of Sapago to do all of your monitoring through log analytics. Monitoring in Azure could be its own 5-day course. It could be very, very in-depth. But in the terms of scoping in VDI, one of our GBB, an amazing resource out of our European Microsoft group, wrote a great blog article on the new WVD specific monitoring capabilities and features built into log analytics. And so that's that second link where now we don't have to rely on Sapago installing an extra agent. While it was a good stopgap, we understand our customers have tight security controls, tight image management controls. So not all of us had the flexibility to install another third-party agent. Contractual, legal things come into play there. But we still want to be able to see how many users are logging in. What's that end user experience like? What's the delay between the time they click a mouse and the time that WVD response shows up on their video card and they see the screen? We want to be able to monitor that so that as IT pros and as good admins, we can proactively make sure our end users are having a good experience and nip those tickets in the bud before they escalate to our bosses and everyone gets all spun up about it. So those were kind of the two big things I wanted to highlight here by sharing those blogs. There's a lot of excellent contributors out there in the GitHub repository that I believe we're also going to link there. Recommend you get engaged and feel free to contribute. We are embracing open source like never before, as I'm sure everyone knows. So let's make WVD better, contribute your own ideas. If you have great logic apps, if you have great strategies or techniques that are working well in your industry, in your deployment, I guarantee you there'll be some very grateful IT admins out there that would love to learn from your work and your blog posts and your solutions to what you see or your problems that pop up. Yeah, so that was kind of it. Make sure we got good operationalization muscle around WVD once it's deployed. That's just step one in your journey. Step two is going to be how are you going to monitor it and how are you going to manage those images? And that's where DevOps, based on Packer, Terraform, or you can just use Packer.io directly are great solutions there. You can use Azure's Image Builder is also a service that's available in Azure that natively ties in very nicely with the Windows Virtual Desktop workflow. And then, of course, now that we know how to manage our images and we know how to patch and we set up that cadence, we want to monitor. We want to make sure our end users are using the service that we've built and that they're having a good quality of service, that we're monitoring their CPU metrics, disk IO metrics, and RDP response times so that we know that their host pools are in locations that are appropriate for them, and so that we know that their machines are sized appropriately for the workloads they're using. We do have a ton of partner relationships that can help with that as well. So don't be shy to reach out to your Microsoft team, whomever that might be. All of us are very empowered and very happy to help you. So if you don't know where to get started and you're looking for that next step on a guided walkthrough on how to operationalize WVD or any workload in Azure, let us lead you to success. But WVD, I think, is fortunate to have a very passionate group, some excellent talent inside of Microsoft, as well as with our partners and the community at large, which probably include many of you listening to this. So don't be shy. Get out there and contribute and let us help you, or let us at least guide you to those resources.
So Richard, definitely talking about contributing and reaching out. Just two questions that come to mind. If I wanted to contribute to a GitHub repo, what type of stuff is your team looking for? What type of help are they looking for right now?
Json templates are always welcome. So if you have a template to make the deployment experience better, we are always welcoming new ideas there. Our WVD product group, they're humans like us. There's only so many hours in the day, so they primarily focus on what's going to give them the best experience across all of our customers. But if you have a deployment model that is, let's say, high trust compliant because you happen to be a healthcare customer and you know how to tie that into an Azure health blueprint that we publish, that kind of stuff would be excellent. And so we can get better industry alignment with what your specific needs are. Because what a hospital is going to deploy is probably going to be very different than what a mining company might deploy or what a financial services environment might deploy. And so we have blueprints to help each one of those industries meet their own compliance requirements, but those tend to be more high-level infrastructure based. So being able to provide a template that integrates it more specific to the WVD technology, always welcome. And then automation logic apps or Azure functions that help with things. Scaling up and scaling down is a big request I get. And while we have a rudimentary logic app that helps, I've worked with some customers that have really built some much more fine-tuned scenarios around that. So that is another area, those automation logic apps or Azure functions that make the day in the life of a WVD admin easier, more scalable, and happier, a better quality of life, are always welcome. So auto scaling solutions are one that we would love to see and be interested in adding as well. And then we have a published workbook. Workbook is a new name for dashboard for WVD, but ours was kind of designed to capture what we thought you might want. But as customers, you know your needs better than we do. So we would love feedback on additional workbooks, any integration with our security platform, Security Center, Sentinel workbooks, or logic apps, so that if a VDI desktop got breached, what might that remediation task look like? We would love to see those examples, and we would love to champion your work and would enjoy that level of contribution.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on again. I'll put all the links in the video description box. So if anybody else wants to look at these links, please feel free, jump in. Again, Richard, always good information. Really excited. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with some more Dev Radio. And again, more experts, more useful information. So again, thanks everybody looking at the description box. And subscribe to our videos if you want to know the next time we go live.
Always a pleasure, Sydney. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, same. It's a pleasure over here too.